Hey everyone, Dennis from Gadsden Freedom Outdoors here. Today we're going to talk about how to pick the right gun for you. Here we have several different manufacturers, 9mm and a 45. Alright, let's get into it. To me, two of the first things you should think about is firearm control. How that gun fits into the webbing of your hand. Next is trigger control. So if you got too much on your trigger, if you think about it, when you pull the trigger, if you have too little, so to me that's two of the most important things, is how it fits into your hand or how your hand fits the gun, vice versa. So like here, this is the sigsauer 365X macro. Lightweight, 9mm, very slim. This gun fits into my webbing perfect, and you can see here my thumb. Now once I put the magazine in, so it fits my hand very well. As far as trigger, as you can see, my finger fits very well on the trigger. I'm not getting too little or too much pull. Here we have a sccy or sccy 9mm. This is a CPX2. I've had this gun since 2013. I think I paid 160 bucks for it back then. Very small, very lightweight, 9mm, extremely compact. So again, it fits my hand very well. Yes, I got a little much on the trigger here, but still, I've been shooting and I've had a lot of training, so I can adjust my finger to the trigger, or vice versa. So very small, lightweight, 9mm. So this gun here, this is my gun that I'll use when I go somewhere where I'm not allowed to carry my firearm. I will secure this gun in my car. Next we have Glock 17 Gen 5, 9mm. Kind of on the large size, 9mm. This is my daughter's gun. Actually, both my son and my daughter both own Glocks. I'll get into that, how they chose Glock. So, I don't carry Glocks. I never have. Here is my 45. This is the Springfieldarmory Compact 45 ACP. It's got a extended magazine. A little, you want to call it a safety if you want. Double trigger, sort of like the Glocks. It's a 3-inch barrel on this 45. This is a Springfieldarmory 45 XD. It's the Mod 2, so compact. I carried this one for several years, but after a while carrying a heavy, larger gun, especially in Florida, you kind of got to adjust your clothing to what you're carrying, or vice versa. So needless to say, I went to a lighter, smaller gun. But again, without the extended magazine, my pinky's overhanging. But again, this fits into my webbing, my trigger. But once you put this extended magazine in, I still have a little room to adjust. So it all comes down to controlling that firearm. Here's a Smith & Wesson 5946. This was my on-duty carry for NYPD. I've had this gun since 1993. We had 3 options: Smith & Wesson, Glock, and sigsauer at the time. I went with the Smith & Wesson. I didn't know anything about sigsauer, and I was never a fan personally of the Glock. So I went with the Smith & Wesson, and again, This gun fits my hand perfect. My hand fits the gun perfect. Trigger is perfect on this gun. It's a heavy 9mm. You know, I got a Hogue sleeve grip on here. You know, honestly, this is probably one of my favorite guns. So once you decide what gun fits your hand, you know, and it's comfortable, you know, then you need to decide on how you're going to carry it. What type of holster you're going to use. This here is a DeSantis leather thumb release holster. I prefer this over any holster, but especially wearing light clothing, you know, in a hot area, gun kind of sticks out sometimes. It all depends what you're wearing. I just like having that extra security. But you know, take this 45 for instance. So I'll wear this usually when I'm wearing heavier clothing or winter time. Here we have a bulldog in the pants. It's got a metal clip, reversible. You know, this will usually what I'll carry my sccy in. I could throw it in my shorts pocket, you know, whether it's cargo shorts or whatever, or I could stick it in my waistband. It's small enough, very concealable, as you can see. There's a lot of different models for this type of holster. And here is a Kydex. This is a crossbreed holster. It's in your pants. You know, you can move it, adjust it to whatever location you want it. With this type of holster, also you can remove the extra magazine and carry that elsewhere in your back. You know, so you're just having the firearm in the front and extra magazine off to the side or in your back. So now when choosing a firearm, like I said, you know, how that gun fits into your webbing and how your finger is with trigger control, to me is probably the two most important keys. The next thing is what type of caliber, what caliber you're going to carry. The holster, I highly recommend going to a gun store / range. There's a lot of gun stores in my area that have ranges, and a lot of them rent different firearms. Go to a range that rents firearms, pick a couple different firearms, different calibers, different styles, shoot them. See which one you shoot the most comfortable, the one that fits your hand the best. Pick the top two, shoot them again. Change your distance. Like with the sigsauer, I went to a range, I did the sigsauer and FN 509. I went from 3 yards out to 12 yards. Both of the guns had great grouping. They both were very comfortable. They shot great. At the time, the X macro was not released, so I wound up buying the FN 509, which I carried for a while until they released the X macro. I traded that in, I got the X macro just because of 17-round magazine. Being able to have a high capacity magazine and a 9mm that's concealable, that's the route I went. So pick the top two guns that shoot the best, that you're most comfortable shooting. You know, and then decide from there. You know, you can go small compact, you know, to larger. I mean, that's, you know, it's quite a difference. You know, you can go with a 45. I believe Springfieldarmory has a smaller, a full compact 45 as well. You know, this is subcompact. You know, but you're talking about larger bullets, making the gun heavier. This is a 13-round magazine, so besides the weight of the gun, you got the weight of the magazine and bullets as well. So you need to think about that. You know, if you're in a hot climate like Florida or Texas, you know, some states are open carry, so it really doesn't come into play. But you still got to carry that gun, whether you're working or you're out all day. You still got to carry the weight of that gun. Over time, you know, you're going to be shifting and everything else. So like my setup is this. I'm not a small guy. I carry this. I can carry this from the morning to the evening. Might have to adjust it a few times. It does not dig into me. It's very comfortable. One of the things I will say, when you select your gun, take that gun to the range once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times, you know, as many times as you can, until shooting that gun is second nature. You know, play with the trigger control safely at the range so you know what your gun's going to do in different scenarios. The other thing is, when you get home, stand in front of a mirror, or if you're not doing anything, wherever you are, take the holster that you decide, make sure your firearm is safe, and practice removing your firearm. Do this until it's second nature, where you can do it in your sleep. You know, these are very important things when considering to carry a firearm and selecting a firearm. You know, you want to be able to, if you're out in public, God forbid something happens, protect yourself, your family, your kids, or the public. You know, you don't know what the situation is. We're living in a crazy world right now. You want to be prepared. Go home, make sure your firearm is safe, practice removing it from the holster. You know, example here is thumb break. I've been using a thumb break style holster since 1993. So, especially working in the streets of New York, whether when I was an officer or a detective in plain clothes, my gun was always being removed. But I practice making it one motion. You know, come down, thumbs breaking, guns coming out. As I'm drawing my firearm, my finger's going to the trigger. My finger does not go on the trigger until I'm up and drawn. So these are things just to keep in mind to practice. You know, you don't want to be out in the street, God forbid something happens, or even home, and now you're fumbling trying to get the gun from your holster. Every second matters. Things will happen in a blink of an eye. I've been involved in a few different scenarios. So when I tell you it's a blink of an eye, it's a blink of an eye. You know, I've stood here and I've practiced removing my firearm from this type of holster, all 3 of these holsters. Every single gun here except for the Glock, I have practiced continuously. It is second nature to me. I can do it in my sleep. Just practice, practice. Get to the range. Put in range time with your firearm. The other thing is try different ammo. You know, jacketed hollow points to ball ammo. Let's see what we got here. So, jacketed hollow point and ball ammo. A little tip that I use is rotate your bullets. Go ball, then go hollow point. Ball, hollow point, double up your hollow points. I put a hollow point in the chamber. My next round will be a hollow point, and then after that I'll have a ball. Reasoning behind this. New York, you got people during the winter wearing heavy down jackets and multi-layer clothing. Sometimes, jacket, hollow point, it's been proven in several cases, they didn't expand or they broke apart before getting to individual, suspect, the perpetrator, bad guy, and it was unable to stop the individual. So I just taken my experience in training, and that's how I load my magazine now. Is I use both styles. I use ball ammo and jacket hollow point. So that way, if there's a scenario where something happens, person's got on multi-layers, you know, when one bullet doesn't stop, the other one might penetrate, might not penetrate. So I'm making my odds better in a survival situation. God forbid something ever happens. That's just a little tip that I use. If you use it, great. If it helps you, that's even better. If it saves a life, that's what we want, right? Now, my son and my daughter, like I said, they both use Glocks. And the reason why, one of the gun ranges we go to, they have a simulator. We call it FATS. firearm and tactical simulator. They actually, I think, second or the only one or the second person in civilian that actually have this type of simulators. Basically, it's a live simulator. They're using real firearms, but the firearms are modified to be electronic. So when you pull the trigger, the round simulates that it's ejected, the slide comes back, and you have to reload the magazine. You tap it, reload it, rack your slide. You can even do a step further, and they have little bands you put on. You'll get zapped if you get hit. It's like the simulation that my kids did. It was a police call. They were 2 officers responding to an active shooter in a movie theater. Basically had to save the hostages of people in the movie theater, find the perpetrator, and stop the perpetrator. You know, there was exchange of gunfire, and both of my kids at that time used the simulation Glocks. And that's why they both like the Glocks, because they were able to stop the threat and they were comfortable using the Glocks in the simulation. Like my daughter, all her shots, amazingly, were headshots. My son was all center-mass shots. So I kind of agreed with them. They were comfortable shooting the Glocks that I recommended they bought. Well, they got Glocks. So again, let's just do a quick recap here. Gun control when selecting a firearm, how the gun fits into your hand, especially your webbing. You don't want that slide to come back and rip your hand open. I've seen it. Finger control, how it sits on your trigger. What size gun you want to carry, what caliber gun you want to carry, and what type of clothing you wear, what type of environment that you're dealing with, what type of holster. You need to put all these different things together when selecting your firearms. Go to a range, shoot many different firearm sizes, calibers. Figure out what you shoot the best, what gun is the most comfortable in your hand. Try different distances, and then narrow it down to that one gun or 2 guns. Then continuous practice and going to the range. Get range time in. Practice at home with a safe firearm and a holster. Alright guys, if you like this video, please hit the thumbs up button. Please subscribe to our channel if you like things all outdoors, cooking, grilling, hunting, ammo, firearms. We appreciate every one of you. Thank you.